It feels nice to be in this room delivering good news instead of COVID news. So, thank you all for joining us here this evening, and thank you for joining at home. This is a big one for Newfoundland and Labrador, for Canada, and indeed for the world. I've been engaging with my team, and we have not stopped. We've worked tirelessly to make sure this critical economic driver not may be, but will be a reality for our province. And my friends, that day is in fact today. Today, the federal government has completed its environmental assessment process for the Bay du Nord project and is approved to move ahead. Bay du Nord is a go because our provincial team never once stopped working. I wanted to make sure that all the doors that needed knocking on were knocked on, and all those who needed to know were made to know. The merits of this project speak for themselves. Oil from the rich waters off our shores has some of the lowest GHGs in the world. It will be produced to meet the global demand for more responsible oil at this pivotal time of global transition. As I've always said, my support for this project has been steadfast. The merits of Bay du Nord needed an extra voice, so we gave it one. We poured all our energy into making sure that all parties involved, provincially, nationally, and internationally, understood the value of this project. And that effort paid off today. My friends, many critical stakeholders in our province, including Energy NL, EcoNext, the St. John's Board of Trade, unions, members of the Newfoundland and Labrador Federal Caucus in Ottawa, and of course, my friend and our own Minister of IET, Andrew Parsons, and the proponent themselves, Equinor, have created an innovative, low-emission project that the world needs right now than ever before in our history. Of course, I'd be remiss without thanking Minister Seamus O'Regan and Minister Goody Hutchings. Seamus, of course, is a dear friend and has been a tireless proponent of this project from the beginning. We made this happen and never once waned on the 24/7 effort to get it done. We successfully demonstrated what this project means not only to our province, but to the country and indeed the world. How even the conflict in Europe exposed a more important and immediate need for this valuable resource. How as we advance the transition to more renewables, our low-carbon, ethical oil can meet the current global demand. Our government is committed to taking bold action on climate change, and we are taking it serious. Newfoundland and Labrador, my friends, is perfectly positioned right now at this time of transition, and as I've said before, we are quite capable of holding two thoughts in our head at once. Just yesterday, we announced that we are lifting the moratorium on onshore wind development and expanding the scope and the role of the Canada, Newfoundland and Labrador Offshore Energy Board to include wind and clean hydrogen. Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are intelligent enough to understand that. And we have tremendous opportunity here, my friends. An opportunity to grow a low-carbon solution to meet the world's current demand. An opportunity to once again, as we have before in the 90s, to reimagine and redefine our own future, our destiny. Our hands are firmly on the wheel as we move forward. We will continually explore alternative energy sources, from wind to clean, green hydrogen to the hydroelectric capacity we have all known for years. We will do so, however, as we fully realize the potential of Bay du Nord. This giant step forward will be a giant step forward in our economic recovery. Now, I know there's been anxiety. For everyone working and connected to the offshore oil industry in this province, I know this announcement registers as a huge sigh of relief. Please know that all of us involved had the very best interests of you and your family at heart as we argued for this project. We needed this news at this moment, and I could not be more proud to let you know this news today. But our federal partners have had your back as well. This was made possible, of course, by their cooperation and their ability to see the long-term benefits for all involved. I want to once again thank our federal cabinet representatives, Minister O'Regan and Minister Hutchings, along with Minister of Natural Resources, Minister Jonathan Wilkinson, who has been critical on this file moving forward. And of course, my dear friend, Minister LeBlanc in Intergovernmental Affairs. As always, of course, the Prime Minister as well. Prime Minister Trudeau has always had the back of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, and today is yet another example of that. Yes, the Bay du Nord project is a go. It is a green light as we progress towards a greener future. A lot of work went into getting us here today, so let's take a moment and enjoy it. But tomorrow we'll roll up our sleeves and get back to the hard work of building a brighter future for our children and our children's children. Thank you very much. I'll turn things now over to Minister Parsons.
Thank you very much, Premier. Today is an exciting day. I told our friends at the Energy NL conference last September that I am naturally an optimistic but realistic person. And I said at that time, when it comes to this industry, I realistically saw reason for optimism. Specifically, on the Bay du Nord project, I believe that the facts would demonstrate the merits of this project. And today it is great to see this positive outcome for the province's industry, for our workers, for their families, and for the entire province. The Bay du Nord project is critical to Newfoundland and Labrador's economy and will provide a significant employment and economic activity. At the same time, this project will play a key role in helping our province meet global demand for responsible oil, while supporting our government's commitment to net zero by 2050. No doubt the oil and gas industry is adapting and changing, but the future of this industry is exciting. Our industry, with our low emissions per barrel compared to the international average and our strong environmental, social, and governance structure, can be a part of the solution as the world transitions to a lower carbon economy. We've known about Equinor's strategy to be a leader in the global energy transition, and we have and will work with them to achieve future net zero commitments. The Atlantic Accord recognizes the right of Newfoundland and Labrador to be the principal beneficiary of the oil and gas resources off our shores, consistent with the requirement for a strong and united Canada. We will be re-engaging with Equinor in the very near future to resume discussions with the goal of developing a benefits agreement that will consider any changes to the project's size and scope. I look forward to continuing to work with Equinor as we ensure that Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are the primary beneficiaries of this project. The economic and environmental benefits of this project are going to result in a stronger industry, a stronger Newfoundland and Labrador, and a stronger Canada. In closing, I would like to thank the many supporters of this project and the champions. It's hard to name them all, but I have to point out we're surrounded here by our caucus and our cabinet, and I can tell you this was truly a team effort to get us to this point, seeing everybody united in that goal. And again, Charlene and Energy NL, we've worked steadfast, we've worked together lots of days getting to this point. But we've always believed that it would proceed. So I'm like the rest of us in this room. I look forward to the exciting days ahead, and thank you, Premier, for the opportunity to speak to this.
Well, thank you, Minister Parsons. I'll now turn things over to Dr. Oh, whoops, that's the wrong one. Invite Charlene, CEO of Energy NL, to share her remarks.
Thank you very much, Premier, and good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to join Premier Furey and Minister Parsons on this important day for the Bay du Nord project and for the Newfoundland and Labrador energy industry. Receiving approval of the environmental assessment is a significant milestone for this project. Throughout this process, we have all known the merits, it met the merits of the rigorous environmental assessment process through the Impact Assessment Agency of Canada. Bay du Nord will be the lowest carbon intensity oil project in Canada and one of the lowest in the world, with fewer than 8 kilograms of CO2 per barrel. I have said before that Bay du Nord is a generational project. It is the project future energy projects around the world will be judged by. It will set the standard. When you combine the low-carbon oil offshore Newfoundland and Labrador with the skills and expertise of our workers, and also with the world-class standards for ESG and safety that Canada and Newfoundland and Labrador have, I have always believed this project would receive approval. That is not to say that we did not have to do our due diligence. We had to show why this is an important project for our country. Energy NL commissioned an economic impact study of the Bay du Nord project, which highlighted the enormous benefits it could bring to our province and country, including over $97 billion in GDP across the country and almost 14,000 annual jobs, with $82 billion in GDP for our province and almost 9,000 annual jobs. This information was a key part of our advocacy, as you likely saw with our national op-ed. We needed to highlight what makes Bay du Nord and our low-carbon oil different and desirable. The Bay du Nord project is a critical part of our pathway to achieving a net zero energy sector while providing significant jobs and economic benefits. Premier Furey led the charge in ensuring the importance of this project to our province, our country, and our world was understood. He was at COP26 to tell our story. He has told our story in Ottawa, and he has supported our industry and its people here at home. Thank you. I would like to thank Premier Furey for his commitment to the Bay du Nord project and our energy industry. His leadership has been instrumental to getting us to where we are today. Thank you. I would also like to thank Minister Andrew Parsons, who has been steadfast in his support of Bay du Nord and our industry. A straight shooter, Minister Parsons has provided the facts in no uncertain terms. To Minister O'Regan and Minister Hutchings and their Newfoundland and Labrador caucus colleagues for showing extraordinary dedication to the project and our industry, and for working diligently to highlight the value and importance of Bay du Nord in Ottawa, thank you. To the thousands of Energy NL members and supporters who have been concerned for the future of this project and who have written me every day, and who have also told their stories to elected officials and shared their support for the Bay du Nord project, I offer my sincerest thanks for your efforts and for hanging in there with us. The next steps for this project is sanctioning by the proponent Equinor, and Energy NL members look forward to that occurring as soon as possible. Equinor is a global leader in responsible resource development, and Energy NL members are greatly anticipating working with them to enhance that reputation through the Bay du Nord project. We have seen broad support for this project from Energy NL members and supporters, First Nations, not-for-profits, municipalities, and businesses, all of whom look forward to the significant benefits and opportunities this project will provide. To conclude, I will say we have moved through this process together. We have worked hard together. At times, there were challenges, but we chose the route that was the most effective, and we have a positive result for Energy NL members, the industry, our province, and our country. That is what matters. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlene. We'll now invite questions from the media.
Thank you, Premier. My name is Kellyanne Roberts, and I will be the moderator for today's event. We have multiple reporters joining us in person and 4 by phone. Each will have the opportunity to ask 1 question and 1 follow-up. For those on the teleconference, please keep your phone on mute until called upon. Up first are those in person, beginning with Jody Cook. Please go ahead.
Hi. All right. So, you mentioned this as a collective sigh of relief that people of Newfoundland and Labrador and perhaps in the industry across Canada have breathed this afternoon. But we know that this took quite a bit of time. So they're looking at the 13th of April. You're making this announcement a week early. What type of conditions and requirements have you had to go through in order to achieve this today? If you could highlight some of those for us.
Yeah, let me be clear. There was no negotiations. This was just us articulating the position of the merits of the project. The Atlantic Court stands intact. We have had good discussions, and we made sure that the merits of the project, including the environmental ones in particular, during this time of transition, stood by themselves.
Environmentalists, of course, have been very loud throughout this journey. They say that they're saying as well that the planet is saying no more fossil fuels. So what do you say to those who say that we can't pretend to say that we're environmentalists right now and approve Bay du Nord?
I think Bay du Nord actually unlocks a great opportunity during this time of transition. It affords consumers and the world the opportunity to select lower carbon emitting oil and gas. I know we have a way to go. The world recognizes that this is a time of transition, and there's many years for that period of time. So if we accept that proposition, we accept that premise, then it isn't the imperative to select lower carbon emitting oil. And if it is, then we have a brilliant project ahead of us right now. We're very proud of our partnerships. We're very proud of the company for putting forward a net zero proposition, one that only emits about 0.2 megatons a year. And that's incredibly important for the project, but equally the oil that's produced from it is not only economical for the people of the province, it's environmentally more responsible during the time of transition. And of course, right now, unfortunately, with the geopolitical circumstances, is a product that the world needs right now as it transitions not only from an environmental perspective, but indeed from a geopolitical perspective as well.
Thank you. The next question are from Alex Bill. Please approach the mic.
Just give me a second.
Alex, I can take your MCP and help you out here.
Yeah, I know. I thought I might get an assessment after this. There are 3 other major exploration projects in progress today. With the new guidelines the federal government put out about an hour and a half ago, do you think those operators will have more certainty that if federal assessment staff approve their projects, that cabinet will follow?
Well, I would certainly hope so. I mean, if nothing else, this gives the certainty to the industry that during this time of transition, it's coherent and consistent with the plan that was released last week as well. If you notice that this fits within that those emission reduction targets that were established last week by Minister Guilbeault, we respect those, and we think that our product, different than some other products around the world, can play an important role in that space. So hopefully not only do they recognize the regulatory certainty, they recognize the environmental differentiator that our product has when it comes to global market supply.
And is an updated benefits agreement something that you've been looking at with Equinor concurrent to this, or do you turn your attention to that next? And within that, is it still a possibility that the province takes an equity stake?
So we have, obviously, there was work done a few years back, and then everything went sideways with 2020 and then going into this process. So we have consistently been engaged with Equinor, but I think you'll see a very strong re-engagement now. Obviously, we've been in touch with them, but it's difficult to have negotiations on an updated benefits agreement when you're looking at waiting on this decision. I've spoken to them this evening. They're looking forward to getting together with us. Obviously, there's been a change since the original framework was done. So there's a lot of work to be done based on new size and scope. So that's going to be moving hopefully forward very quickly and will be a necessary part of getting this project to the finish line.
Thanks.
Thank you. The next questions are from Terry Roberts. Please approach the mic.
Yeah, so there's been no official sanction of this project yet by Equinor, but you folks are talking as if this is a green light greenlit project. So why are you so optimistic that Bay du Nord will get approval?
Well, we've had good discussions with the proponent, and we're not taking anything for granted, but this was a major milestone, a major hurdle for them to clear. It gives them the certainty they need in terms of timelines for sanctions, and we're quite optimistic that they will progress down their own internal process towards sanction.
Straight shooter minister, I'm going to ask you this question again about equity stake.
Yes.
You know, it's been a number of years now. Can you give us an answer? Moya Green is recommending we get out of the oil business, yet you're suggesting here today that an equity stake is possibly, you're not ruling it out? What's
I
the
guess
status?
if I give the wrong answer, I'll get a dirty look to the right. I mean, what I would say is it's an option on the table. It's not a decision that we have made. It is there, but it's not a decision that has been made by government at this point. So that'll be a part of conversations going forward, fully cognizant of what Moya Green has said. But like anything, it's another piece of advice that this government and the Premier and Cabinet use to make the decision. What's in the best interest going forward, and we'll weigh everything in that decision.
It's a part of a broader conversation about the position of our assets and the portfolio that we hold right now, looking towards the future. No different than you would manage your own assets at home. You know, you may hold certain holdings or may hold certain properties. Do they belong in your future or not? And so this one isn't specific, like we're singling out. We're looking at all our assets collectively and looking at their position in the portfolio right now and the value they bring, not just to the people currently, but to the people in the future.
Thank you. The next questions are from Richard Duggan. Please go ahead and unmute your line.
Thank you. A question for the Premier. You said earlier that your team has argued tirelessly for this. What sort of opposition did you encounter in Ottawa to this project, and how much of an opposition was there?
Well, frankly, I had very constructive conversations with everybody in Ottawa, in person and on the telephone. As I've said before, I spoke with the Prime Minister. Time all blends together, but it has to be a month and a bit ago to make sure that he understood the economic impacts of this for the province, the environmental impacts of this project for the country, and on top of that, the geopolitical importance of this project when it comes to the unfortunate circumstances in the Ukraine. So the discussions were, I would say, not argumentative. They were constructive. We, as you often do in advancing a file, you have constructive conversations. I wouldn't say there was any argument. I will say that the conversations that Minister Guilbeault and I have had, for example, on offshore wind, have been incredibly productive. We recognize, and I think he does too, that Newfoundland and Labrador is very well positioned in this time of transition. We have a valuable resource in the non-renewable. We have an incredible resource that we haven't scratched the surface of with respect to offshore, onshore wind, and our position in the hydrogen market, which is evolving rapidly before our eyes. So, you know, I can appreciate that there was a narrative of a discourse, but I would say it's more of a constructive conversation, making sure that our position was well known in the hallways of Ottawa.
And a question for Minister Parsons. Now that we have the environmental green light on this, what sort of timelines is the province looking at in terms of getting this project up and running?
Well, I mean, a lot of that's still out of our hands in the sense that this is Equinor's project to get sanctioned. They have a lot of work to do internally. We have to work with them on the benefits agreement. I can tell you that I'm very lucky to have a team at IET that will work tirelessly on the benefits agreement. After speaking with Equinor, there's no reason to believe that this project will still, not to believe that we won't do production in 2028. That is still the goal. That's still achievable according to them, according this evening. But it's going to require a lot of work. So we're going to go on those timelines. You'll see. I think we're not talking weeks here. We are talking into months for this type of work. But again, it's really nice to have this in our own hands rather than waiting for somebody else to make a decision. So right now, I think we sort of have our destiny in our own hands to help figure this out along with Equinor. I'm pretty confident that we're going to be able to continue to work constructively together for mutual benefit, really.
Thank you. The next questions are from Emma Graney. Please go ahead and unmute your line.
I think you're still muted there.
We'll go ahead, and Glenn
I'll
Whippen,
take
you
this
can
one.
go ahead with your next two questions.
Okay, this question's for Charlene. Just wondering, tomorrow, what will your members be doing to get ready for some of the opportunities that might arise from this decision today?
Well, some of our members are already receiving opportunity from this. As you know, there are some studies being done, and there are companies that are working on the subsea components and the topsides components. So this project is already bringing significant employment to the province as we get ready for the pre-feed stage. As an organization, we do hold supplier development sessions. We have had one in the past with Equinor, and we plan to do another in the future to let them be aware of the opportunities that are before them. And of course, there will be discussions on local benefits and local content as well.
You also mentioned the study you had done about the economic benefits. Can you just go over those again for me?
Sure. So we hired David Campbell with Jupia Consultants, and as the Premier said, one of the key things for advocacy was highlighting the environmental benefits of this project and how it would be one of the lowest carbon per barrel intensity projects in Canada, half of the world's global greenhouse gas emissions. But also, when it comes to the economics, it isn't just Newfoundland and Labrador that would benefit from this province. This is a nation-building project, and part of the work that we had done for our advocacy, our fact-based advocacy, when we were working and talking with other MPs across the country, was to show how this project would benefit other provinces. Alberta will be a significant beneficiary from this project, as well as Ontario and Quebec when it comes to manufacturing and things of that nature. So the study was to show what the GDP would be of the life of field of this project in other provinces, as well as the jobs that it would provide there. We're happy to make a copy available to you if you want.
Thank you.
The time for questions has now ended. Please forward any follow-up questions to the department. Thank you for participating in today's availability.
Quicker than a COVID briefing.
Not happier too.
Over our screen.